What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Spring Cup once again. I do have to be a little bit quieter than normal, but happy Easter. This should be going live on Easter Day for all of those that celebrate. Um, have fun, spend some time with your families today, but if you are here watching the video, I appreciate it. We're going to be looking at a Easter themed team with a flower, an egg, and a bunny Pokemon. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. I don't know if you saw, but the win rate on some of these Pokemon are absolutely abysmal. But either way, in the first match, we pick up a good lead in a Jellicent. They switch into an Amoonguss, and we have an okay response in Togetic. The only issue here is that they do have super effective Sludge Bomb, but they let me get to back-to-back moves before they even throw their energy, maybe unaware of Togetic's pacing. So now that I've grabbed a shield, I will definitely shield back, but they do throw right as I get to the move. I think that was a CMP tie, so I will shield that up, and it is, and I will full charge this because they are nearly at the back-to-back, and they double shield. So I'm going to shield this right back up. I'm going to overfarm as much as I possibly can. They bait with a foul play, which means I can't overfarm as much, but now I can get off a Psyshock. This should be enough to KO the Amoonguss. We are able to maintain switch, but now all shields are down in this matchup, which can get a little scary, especially because we have Blossom on the lead, and Blossom is a tiny bit glassy because we're running the Shadow. Its bulk otherwise is pretty nice. It's actually better than you might expect, so overall not too bad, and we're doing huge chip on this Jellicent with our Togetic, and they realize they have to throw in order to get the knockout, because otherwise we make it to another Psyshock. So Togetic is pacing super nice. We do get the Bullet Seed through, which is nice. This Shadow Ball will hurt, but it will not be enough to KO, and then it's a Tropius in the back. And now we don't have a great answer here, but we do have a double super effective Ice Beam on the Azumarill, which will definitely hurt the Tropius, but just like Jump Bluff, it is not enough to one-shot here. So we are going to need back-to-back Ice Beams. Here comes one. They live that with relative ease, and we have no ability to farm down. Now the question is, can my Azumarill survive another Leaf Blade from the yellow? It can on 1 HP. The high rank Azu IVs coming in clutch, making it to the Ice Beam. We have the Leaf Blade loaded on the Blossom. We're able to snipe, get off the Leaf Blade. It's enough to KO the Jellicent, and we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we've got Lapras on the lead. This is once again a good lead. We are a mono grass type, and they come in with a Klefki, and we do not have a good answer for Klefki. Fortunately, we do have Azu, which is just bulky, and it does have neutral fast move pressure, so at least we can do that. And they do build up to the Flash Cannon, they land it, and we get off a Play Rough on the CMP tie, and that just does not do much damage to the Klefki. Obviously these fast moves are chipping, but the charge moves are not. I will just let this go because I believe it's only enough for a foul play, and it is, which means this Play Rough will either grab a shield or knock out, and we'll be able to take switch, and it does knock out, so we are able to grab switch. And in comes the Lapras. We do get fully side wave farm down, which isn't great, but now we can just come in back with Blossom, throw the Leaf Blade as soon as we get it. It's only 9 turns to a Leaf Blade for the first 3, and then only 6 turns. The speed on this thing is absolutely insane. It's honestly a really decent Pokemon. It's way better than people give credit for, but either way, they make a really nice catch onto their Tropius. That is a double resisted Leaf Blade connecting, but unfortunately for my opponent, we have a great answer here with Togetic. And Togetic, we are running super effective Ancient Power coverage, which is great because that means we can two-shot this Tropius. And if they throw an alignment, they give an entire Fairy Wind in for free. And these Aerial Aces just do not do that much damage. Togetic has some really nice bulk to it, and Aerial Ace is just not a great move. And we are able to get the knockout, and they're going to be forced to throw here because otherwise we're going to make it to another super effective charge move. And honestly, this is why I used Ancient Power, is because there were so many things in this meta that were actually weak to Rock. It kind of surprised me, but I was like, wait a minute, Rock has great coverage into a lot of the top meta, at least that I was seeing. But either way, we finally come back with Blossom. All we have to do is make it to back-to-back. Leaf Blades, they try and throw in CMP, but we're not falling for that. We actually get an entire Bullet Seed in for free, and that allows us to get to back-to-back Leaf Blades. Here comes the first. Are they going to shield it, or do they know? They are going to shield. It looks like that was a CMP tie with the next one, but Blossom does win CMP. Leaf Blade number 2 knocks out the Lapras, and we are able to take that win. Alright, Blossom picking up 3 good leads in a row. And this Lapras is staying in this matchup. So I'm going to overfarm. I'm going to throw the Leaf Blade right as they get to the Sparkling Aria. Here comes the Leaf Blade. They let that go. Now this is a little bit awkward because this could be enough for an Ice Beam, and this could just one-shot us. But it is a Sparkling Aria, and we successfully call the bait, and it's a Dugong in the back. So we're going to try and connect with a Leaf Blade again. Are they going to let this go? No, they're going to shield that up. Now we can kind of mirror match with Azu. Both of our fast moves are resisted, and we each have a charge move that is neutral. But they just go for the Icy Wind and debuff my attack, which is really annoying, but it's definitely not going to help their case here. We've already grabbed a shield, so this is just coming down to 3 play roughs either way. 2 play roughs wouldn't have KO'd previously, but maybe with the bubbles, who knows, I don't know. But now they're going for drill runs. That still doesn't hurt very much, and we're already at another play rough. This will do some okay chip, but it will not be enough to KO. It does put them in the red, and they're over farming here, and because they want to come in with Credilli and save all that energy. So we have to be aware that they're loaded with energy on the Credilli, and now we're going to come in with our Togetic after chipping with an Ice Beam. 1 Rock Tomb will not be enough to KO, and they have no ability to farm down, so I will let the first go, but every single one after that I will start shooting up. Here comes a first Psyshock from the Togetic. I believe we can make it to a second before they're even able to make it to a second Rock Tomb. The only problem here is this will not be enough to KO, and they can make it to another move. And I'm actually going to let this go because I think I can get a maybe a Bullet Seed farm out. No, I'm going to come in with Azu, try and get a Bubble Farm down, but I think they try and snipe with an Icy Wind, so I actually call the bait. I have to start shielding something at some point. I do go for the Ice Beam as soon as I get it, but unfortunately my opponent is on their Force Cycle, which means I am forced to shield. This one is a drill run, so super nice that we get that shield call right. Ice Beam, double resisted here, but should be enough to KO the Dugong from this range. And it grabs a shield, and we are able to snipe with 2 Bullet Seeds, come out with a Leaf Blade loaded. Are they going to come back with the Lapras? They are, so we're going to click the Leaf Blade right away. This should be enough to knock out the Lapras. And then the Credilli at 1 HP. No, not at 1 HP. They survive the Bullet Seed. Is the bubble enough? It is. And we were just barely able to take that game. That was close. Damn. Lapras on the lead again. So fourth or fifth good lead. I don't even know at this point. And they come in with a Moongus. And I do not respond very fast. And they do throw a foul play right away. So what I should have done is, after 4 Bullet Seeds, try and catch that foul play on my Togetic, because even though I wasn't fast, I would have been able to kind of recover by doing that. That being said, if they didn't throw the move right away, then we could have been in trouble. But we are finally going to come in with our Togetic. We're just going to eat this charge move because we already wasted a shield. We should be able to survive it, and they actually bait with a foul play, unless they're on Grass Knot, because then otherwise both charge moves are resisted. But Grass Knot would still be the better move to go for. And they actually bank that energy, and then they come in with a Klefki. So we are going to chip with a Psyshock here, and then probably come in with our Zoom Roll right away. The Switch timers are slightly aligned, which honestly might work out in our benefit, but we just have to be wary of a catch before we're able to switch out. They do make it to a Flash Ganon before we're able to make it to a charge move. But now here comes a play rough. This is resisted, but it is stab, and it does some okay chip, and then these bubbles will definitely be able to knock out the Klefki before they get to a move. And in comes the Lapras. We're able to connect with a play rough. And then are we going to stay in this matchup? No, we're going to instantly pivot into the Togetic, and we actually bait out the Amoonguss again. It might be my opponent scared about the Ancient Powers. But they actually let us get the knockout there. Are we going to get to move? We are. And now this is a super effective Ancient Power coming my opponent's way. And at this point, the game is over, especially with that boost. Man, that helps. Because now we can just come in with a Zoom Roll, force them to go over 100 energy if they want to get this charge move off. Or if they want to get back-to-back charge moves off. And we're able to get to an Ice Beam before they get the farm down. And they know we already have a move load on the Blossom, so they just let that go. Gastrodon on the lead. This is a fantastic lead. It does not get better than this, and they're staying in. No, they're eventually going to get out into a Dugong. That allows me to chip with a Leaf Blade before I come in with a Zoom Roll. Now we do grab that shield, which is pretty nice. Are they just going to go for the drill run, or are they going to be a degen and go for the Icy Wind. Dugong, Credillia users, they're all the same. But now we're able to get to a play rough. We're going to throw right before they get to the next charge move. We are going to connect with the play rough. They do not double shield, which is nice. And now they're over farming like crazy here. And I didn't throw right away because I was like, why are you over farming so much? Maybe going for a catch. The switch timer should be up after this charge move, and they are going to bank like back-to-back charge moves. But now mine is up, and in comes Blossom. I can let this go. Earth Power is resisted, Water Pulse is resisted. The best they can go for is Body Slams. But I will throw the next Leaf Blade on the CMP tie with their next Body Slam. So if they want to get off this charge move, they're going to have to shield. They elect to let that go because we still have a shield advantage in this matchup. And they do come in with a Dugong, but it looks like I will get to a Leaf Blade after that Bullet Seed connects. So I will just shield this up and then click the move. Ooh, but I was wrong. And that's a misplay for me, unfortunately. But the Ice Wind connects, and now at least we know that they're energy dry. So that is nice. We can overfarm here. Once again, they're on their 4 cycle, and I accidentally played to the CMP tie. Drill Run connects, but now we can just go for an Icy Wind. This is double resisted, but it should be enough to KO from this range, and it does. And then we're instantly switching into the Togetic. It's a Mantine in the back. So this is actually pretty nice that we instantly swapped, because otherwise we don't really want to give the Mantine too much of an energy lead. And I think my opponent realized once that I had Ancient Power that they were not going to win that matchup. So they just resigned the match, probably on Water Pulse and Ice Beam. Terrible lead in the next match. We have an Araquanid, and Bug Bites are super effective on the Blossom. So we're just going to wait till we can start getting some shields down, and then we're going to maybe snipe with a Leaf Blade later on. But either way, they're staying in this matchup. We grab a shield, and then they Bubble Beam just to end up switching into their Jellicent. So we're just going to connect with a Psyshock. This is debuff. It does not do much damage. But in comes another Psyshock because they overfarmed, trying to throw in good timing. And now they're probably just going to go for the knockout here. Are they going to over? They do overfarm perfectly right before we make it to the next Psyshock. Here comes the Shadow Ball. Doesn't quite KO, and it does allow me to get to another move, but we're going to have to come back in with Blossom and probably double shield because they're fully hex farming me down, which means they're basically at back-to-back Shadow Balls at this point. And of course, I get 1 turn lag and I get my fast move denied. And they bait and they have Bubble Beam, and now I have to shield this too because this could potentially be a Shadow Ball as well. And they double bait with Bubble Beams. Oh, that literally could not be worse. We just used 2 shields on Bubble Beams. Either way, we have Azumarill in the back, which walls Araquanid, which is okay at least. But they're once again just going to Bubble Beam debuff me. I guess this is a Bubble Beam meme team. I don't know. But it's a Gastrodon in the back. So we might have some potential because we can make it to a play rough here. 1 charge move will not be enough to KO the Azumarill here, even if they force in the Earth Power. So, which they do, but that just kind of put me in Mud Slap farm down range, which is pretty awkward. Maybe I should have seen if I could get to back-to-back Ice Beams. No, instead I'm going to catch the next Body Slam onto my Blossom, get the Bullet Seed through, and now it's about, can I get to, like, I don't know, what am I going to need, like 3 Leaf Blades, 1 to connect, 1 to KO, and 1 to grab a shield. So yeah, I need to get to 3 Leaf Blades before they're even able to make it to, what, a Bug Buzz, I guess, or even a Water Pulse probably at this range, because these Bug Bites are absolutely tearing through my HP, and they get to a charge move. So unfortunately, I think we are going to lose this game. But it's just a Bubble Beam, and we live it. Is this Leaf Blade enough to KO the Araquanid from this range? It's not. But now it's Bubble versus Bug Bite. Both are resisted. They come in with a Gastrodon. I do not want to take Mud Slap, so I'm going to go for this Ice Beam. They're not out of move on the Araquanid yet. Can we get the Bubble Farm down? We can. And just like that, we are just barely able to take that win. Lapras on the lead again. This is a fantastic lead. A lot of Laprases today. And this one is staying in. So we are just going to go for the Leaf Blade on when they just get to the Sparkling Aria and they make a really nice catch onto their Tropius that is double resisted. But now we can align our Togetic. So we've seen this matchup before. It is a very, very nice matchup for the Togetic. We can eat Aerial Aces for days. And we have super effective coverage with the Ancient Power and a huge pacing advantage, which will definitely help us in this matchup. Ancient Power 1 connects. We're already at Ancient Power number 2 before they're even able to make it to a second Aerial Ace, which is kind of surprising because they had a huge lead on energy, and it's a Fire Fang Mawile in the back. Now this is unfortunate because we do not have a great answer for Fire Fang Mawile. However, we do have a Azumarill in the back, which is our best answer to it, and we're able to connect with 2 resisted Psyshocks. It is the better damage per energy move in this scenario, and they let both go because they're resisted, and unfortunately that puts them in bubble farm down range. This could be a play rough, but we want to save shields for our Blossom on the lead, and it is instantly switching because I expected my opponent to switch, and then they throw on really good timing. I kind of needed to call this bait, but they do just go for a Sparkling Aria, and I was worried about if they made it to a Sparkling Aria and then chipped with that, then they might be able to set away farm down. But I'm just going to double shield in this matchup. I know this is only another Sparkling Aria, but I kind of have to respect it. I am able to make it to back-to-back Leaf Blades, which is nice. So here comes the first Leaf Blade. We do grab the shield, so instantly clicking the second Leaf Blade, and they catch on a Mawile, which is a huge catch for my opponent. So I completely undercharge it. That way I can get 2 bubbles worth of energy. I'm not quite in Sparkling Aria range. In fact, I think that'll need at least 2 plus the Psywaves, which means I'm able to get to a play rough that connects. It does pretty nice damage, but it isn't quite farm down range for bubble. So this is going to be a very awkward matchup. And they're on Skull Bash, which is terrible because they get the perfect farm down. And now it's just about, can Blossom survive a Sparkling Aria from this range? And we just barely can. Psywave versus Bullet Seed, and Bullet Seed is the victor. That is absolutely insane. Ferrothorn on the lead. This is kind of a neutral matchup, and they actually get out into a Mantine, which is kind of surprising. So we're going to meet them with the Togetic. We have super effective coverage, and the worst they could go for is an Ice Beam, but a lot of them are on Water Pulse in this meta because of all the like steals, the Mawiles, and and they are on Water Pulse, and they show that, which is nice. So they do grab our shield, but now we know this at best is an Aerial Ace because that's all they farmed up to, and we're not really worried about any one charge move at this point. I am going to farm up nearly to 100 energy here, and then going to connect with the Ancient Power. My opponent will let this go because they've already grabbed a shield, and now we have no charge moves for this Ferrothorn. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to chip. And the only thing that's kind of working out for us here is that Power Whip is resisted, Bullet Seed resisted. They have no ability to farm down, so we can just stay in this matchup basically as long as we want until they make it to either a Power Whip when we're even lower than we are now, or a full send a Flash Cannon. That's kind of their only 2 options. And they are over farming pretty significantly, which allows me to get to like a 4th Psyshock here. So now we've put the Ferrothorn in the red with purely resisted charge moves, and it was a CMP tie, so we're definitely just gonna let this go. Power Whip is enough to KO from that range, but now we can just come in with our Blossom, and I am gonna throw the Leaf Blade. Even though this is double resisted, it grabs a shield, and we will just respect a Flash Cannon here. It looks like their fast moves weren't showing up, but they definitely were throwing them because they make it to a Flash Cannon on the CMP tie. Somehow Blossom losing CMP to a Ferrothorn. Not sure that's how the game's supposed to work. And fortunately for us, it is a Gastrodon in the back, which is massive because we have double super effective fast and charge moves. They do respect it, but we are able to make it to a 2nd Leaf Blade before they're even able to make it to Earth Power, and we are able to get the knockout there and take that win. Tentacool. Oof, Jesus. Talk about triple weak. We are literally triple weak to this Pokemon. It literally does not get worse than this. We have to stay in this matchup. Leaf Blades are at least resisted, and we have a huge pacing advantage, and they let that go, and that does about 50%. So you know what? I kind of just have to let this go. Hope it doesn't KO. If it's a Scald, it probably will. But no, Blossom once again living on 1 HP, making it to the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade connects, and it KOs the Tentacle. We just took a like super hard counter Pokemon out in the lead matchup, and we actually win the zeros with our Blossom. That is absolutely insane. They have an Amoonguss in the back, so we can just come in with our Psyshock Togetic, and this will be an okay matchup. I will respect a potential Sludge Bomb here. It will hurt, and they do full send it, and I do have a pacing advantage here, which is why I full sent. Now they have a Lapras in the back, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chip with an Ancient Power and then soak up all this energy onto my Azumarill, because if they're on Sparkling Aria plus Ice Beam, their moveset is completely walled here, except for their Psy Waves. But Psy Waves are not going to do too much to a bulky Azumarill, so they're forced to just spam out these Sparkling Arias, stay in this matchup, waste all of this energy, and we have some energy banked on our Togetic, which is nice as well. And Togetic is going to be absolutely our win con in this matchup. So we're just going to keep connecting with these play roughs. Going to watch for a catch. They go for a Sparkling Aria. I actually switch anticipating the catch, but my opponent doesn't go for it. However, that allows me to outpace, which means I can make it to an Ancient Power. Ancient Power is enough to KO from that range, and now it's just a pacing game. And unfortunately, my opponent was bone dry on energy, so I know this is only a foul play because they did not overfarm properly, and that allows me to get to back-to-back Psyshocks before my opponent is able to get to another move, which means they are just going to resign the match. Into the final Easter battle of the video, we've got Lantern on the lead. Now, this is a fantastic lead. This is exactly where we want to see the Lantern. Obviously, we are ABB weak to the Lantern. And they come in with a Fire Fang Mawile. We don't have a great answer, but we do have a Azumarill, which can at least play neutrally in this matchup. Play Rough does connect, and it does hurt. I am going to overfarm here quite a bit. Now going for the harder hitting Play Rough, not expecting my opponent to shield. And they do let that go, but unfortunately, it looks like they're still going to be able to make it to another Play Rough. So now I have a decision to make, and I decide I need Switch because I cannot see that Lantern on my Togetic. We have such a great answer in the lead that even if they get a huge energy advantage here, it will not matter. I am able to connect with one Play Rough, and here comes a second Play Rough. So we're doing some really solid chips to the Lantern as well, which makes me even more comfortable about my decision. We aren't able to grab that shield back, which is a nice play by my opponent, but we don't know what's in the back, and they're throwing energy, which is kind of surprising because I bet it's a grass answer in the back. And they're staying in this matchup. We're going to throw another Surf, and then they're probably going to instantly switch out of this matchup. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to instantly queue it up, and we do, and it's a Gastrodon in the back. So they're actually ABA weak to grass. That's definitely not what you want to be in a meta full of grass Pokemon, where one of the three main typings is grass. But you know what? To each their own. They are going to stay in this matchup, even though their Mud Slaps are double resisted. I get a bit of lag there, so I don't throw my energy because I'm not sure what turn I was on at that point. They're still staying in this matchup. I'm now just going to start spamming out these Psyshocks. Here comes one, and that puts them basically in full farm down range. Just barely, not quite. Looks like they would just barely make it to another Body Slam, so I will connect with a Psyshock. I'm going to instantly switch. I have back-to-back Leaf Blades. I believe they have 2 shields. There's no point in really throwing this. I should just Bullet Seed farm down, but my opponent realizes that's what's going to happen, so they just let that go, and we are able to take the win. But yeah, honestly, respectable awesome. It performed a lot better than I thought it did. Azu sucks ass in this meta. Definitely don't use it. Togetic is interesting. It's got some really cool coverage for the meta, so I would definitely take a look at Togetic if you're still even interested in the Spring Cup. I am so excited for this thing to be over. You have no idea. I can't wait to look at Great League, where we can look at the #1 ranked Pokemon again. But yeah, without further ado, that's going to be it for me for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.